You know, we live in a world where failure gets such a bad rep. Like, people act like it's this giant stamp on your forehead that says, you're not good enough. But the truth is, failure isn't the end of the road. It's not this big, dramatic defeat that defines who you are. Honestly, failure is it's a teacher. And sometimes, it's the best teacher you'll ever have. Think about it. When you win, when everything goes perfectly, you celebrate, right? You feel good, you're on top of the world. But do you really learn anything? Probably not. You're just riding the high. But when you fail, when you stumble, mess up, fall flat on your face, that's when life pulls up a chair and says, okay, now we're gonna really learn something. Failure teaches you what works and, more importantly, what doesn't. It shows you your blind spots, the things you didn't even know you needed to pay attention to. It humbles you, slows you down and makes you reflect. And yeah, it stings. It's uncomfortable. But that discomfort, that's where growth happens. It's kinda like, imagine you're trying to learn how to ride a bike. You don't just get on and magically ride off into the sunset. No. You wobble, you fall, you scrape your knees. But every fall teaches you something new. You learn balance, you learn how to steady yourself, how to recover when you start tipping. And eventually, you're cruising. But you only got there because you kept falling and learning. That's exactly what failure does in life. It's not this big game over sign. It's more like a pop quiz that's making sure you're paying attention to the lesson. So the next time you fail, and trust me, there will be a next time, don't panic. Don't spiral into thinking you're not enough. Just pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what's this trying to teach me? Because failure isn't here to break you. It's here to build you. You know, people always talk about how success shows your true colors. Like when you've made it, that's when the real you comes out. But honestly, I don't think that's true. Success is easy. It's comfortable. Everyone's smiling, patting you on the back, and life feels good. You don't have to dig deep when everything's going your way. But failure, oh man, failure is a whole different story. Failure strips away all the noise, all the fluff, and leaves you face to face with yourself. It's like when everything falls apart, when the plan doesn't work, and you're sitting there thinking, what now? That's when you find out who you really are. Because failure doesn't care about your resume or your followers or how perfect your life looks on paper. It reveals your grit, your heart. It asks you, are you gonna get back up? Or are you gonna stay down? And the way you answer that question, that's the real you. It's in those moments, when you're disappointed, maybe even embarrassed, that you discover what you're made of. Do you take responsibility? Do you get honest with yourself about what went wrong? Do you have the courage to keep going, even when nobody's watching and no one's cheering you on? That's the stuff that builds character. And you know what else? Failure also shows you what you value. Like, sometimes you fail at something, and yeah, it hurts, but deep down you realize, maybe that thing wasn't even for you. Maybe you were chasing someone else's version of success. But other times, the failure cuts so deep because you care so much. And that passion, that fire, you wouldn't have known it was there unless you failed and had to fight for it. It's kinda wild, but failure has this way of peeling back the layers and showing you things about yourself you didn't even know were there. Your resilience, your patience, your ability to adapt, to pivot, to dream a new dream when the old one didn't work out. That's the real stuff. That's who you are beneath the surface. So yeah, failure sucks in the moment. But later, when the dust settles, you'll realize it gave you a mirror. And you got to see the real you, not the one who's performing for the world, but the one who's still standing after the fall. You know, everybody loves talking about growth. Like, we all want to be better, do better, level up, right? But here's the thing nobody really likes to admit. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It just doesn't. You don't grow when things are easy, when everything's smooth sailing. Nah, real growth happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're struggling, when you fail. It's funny, we all want to evolve, but we don't want the process that comes with it. And failure, yeah, that's part of the process. Actually, it's like the foundation. You can't build anything strong without it. Think of it this way. Imagine you're trying to build a tall skyscraper. You don't just start stacking floors on top of soft ground, right? You've got to dig deep first. You got to lay down concrete, steel beams, something solid that can hold up all that height. And that digging, that's the failing. That's the falling down, the missteps, the trial and error. Every time you fail, you're laying a stronger foundation for who you're becoming. You're learning things you wouldn't have learned if you got it right the first time. You're building patience, discipline, self-awareness. It's like failure teaches you the stuff that success needs you to know before you're ready to handle it. And I know, it's so tempting to look at other people and think, wow, they've got it all figured out. But trust me, behind every person who's really grown into their potential, there's a trail of failures you don't see. They've failed more times than they can count. But instead of letting those failures bury them, they used them to build. It's kinda wild, but failure gives you this incredible chance to reinvent yourself, to pivot, to try again, but better, smarter, stronger. Growth doesn't come from never making mistakes. It comes from being willing to learn from them. So the next time you fall short, don't see it as a dead end. See it as, okay, here's another brick for my foundation. Here's another lesson that's making me better. Because you're not gonna grow without it. Failure isn't the opposite of growth. It is growth in real time. Okay, so this one's a biggie. Don't personalize failure. And I know, that's way easier said than done. Like when something goes wrong, when you don't get the job, or you bomb a project, or someone tells you no, it's so easy to immediately think, ugh, I'm just not good enough. I suck. I'm a failure. But let me stop you right there. Failing at something doesn't mean you are a failure. Read that again. You're not defined by the things that didn't work out. You're not the rejection. You're not the mistake. You're not the bad grade, or the lost opportunity. Those are things that happened, not things that define you. The problem is, we get so attached to outcomes. You know, like we put our whole identity into this one goal, this one dream, and when it doesn't happen the way we imagined, we feel like we've lost a piece of ourselves. But here's the truth. Failure isn't personal. It's situational. It's circumstantial. It's a moment, not a label. Think of it this way. If your friend failed at something, would you look at them and go, well, guess you're a failure now? Of course not. You'd tell them it's a setback, a lesson, maybe a sign to try a different approach. You'd give them grace. But for some reason, when it's us, we're so quick to slap that failure sticker on our foreheads. You've got to separate what you do from who you are. You can fail at a task, a project, a relationship, whatever. But you're still you. You're still worthy. You're still talented. You're still evolving. One failed attempt doesn't erase all your potential. And honestly, if you personalize every failure, you'll start shrinking yourself. You'll play small because you're so afraid of failing again. But failure's not out here attacking your character. It's not saying you're not capable. Most of the time, it's just life saying, hey, not this way. Try another route. That's it. So next time you mess up or fall short, pause for a second and ask yourself, am I reacting to the situation? Or am I turning this into a story about my worth? Because how you answer that question changes everything. Failure is feedback, not a judgment. It's not here to define you. It's here to teach you, redirect you, maybe even protect you. But it's never about who you are. You know, it's funny how we get so fixated on this one plan, this one dream, this very specific version of how life's supposed to go. We make these vision boards, these 5-year plans, and we're like, okay, this is it. This is how it's all gonna unfold. But life's got its own GPS. And sometimes it just takes you on a detour you weren't expecting. And yeah, a lot of times, that detour looks and feels like failure. You might not get that job you thought was your dream job. You might pour your heart into a project and it totally flops. A relationship might end that you were sure was the one. And in the moment, it feels like the universe is slamming a door in your face. You're standing there like, why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? But here's the thing most people don't realize until way later. Sometimes failure isn't a no forever. It's just a not this way. It's a redirection. It's life gently, or sometimes not so gently, nudging you toward a path that's more aligned with who you really are. Like, think about it. How many stories have you heard where someone says, I thought my life was over when XYZ didn't work out, but now I look back and realize it was the best thing that ever happened to me? That's not just a cliche. That's real. Failure has a way of shaking you loose from things that aren't meant for you. Maybe you outgrew that goal. Maybe you were chasing it for the wrong reasons. Like, maybe it looked good on paper but wasn't feeding your soul. Or maybe, and this one's big, maybe you weren't ready for it yet. Sometimes failure's not a rejection. It's preparation. And when you can shift your mindset from, why is this happening to me? To, what is this trying to teach me? That's when the magic happens. That's when you start seeing failure as a course correction, not a dead end. It's kinda like when you're driving somewhere and your GPS is like recalculating because you missed a turn. You don't throw the whole trip away. You just take a different route. You'll still get where you're meant to go, but maybe you needed that detour to avoid a traffic jam you couldn't see yet. So next time failure shows up, try not to see it as life being cruel or unfair. Instead, ask yourself, what if this is redirecting me to something even better? Because sometimes, the door that closes is the one that was keeping you trapped. And failure is just the key that sets you free. Alright, so let's talk about this. Failure builds resilience and empathy. And I know, when you're right in the middle of failing at something, that's not exactly what you want to hear. You're probably thinking, yeah, great, thanks for the life lesson, but right now I just feel like crap. I get it, but hear me out. Failure has this sneaky way of toughening you up. Not in a cold, hardened way, but in a way where you learn how to get back up, again and again, even when it hurts. That's resilience. And you don't get that from winning all the time. You don't build resilience when life's easy. You build it when life knocks you down and you have to decide, okay, am I staying down? Or am I gonna stand back up and try again? Every time you fail and you keep going, you're adding layers to your strength. You're building this muscle that says, I've been through worse and I survived. And the beautiful thing is, that resilience doesn't just stay in that one area of your life. It spills over into everything. It makes you braver. It makes you less afraid to take risks. Because once you've been knocked down and realized you're capable of getting back up, failure loses some of its power over you. But here's the other side of it. Failure also makes you softer. And I don't mean weaker, I mean more human, more understanding. It's like when you've struggled, when you've messed up, when you've had to face your own flaws, you start to see other people differently too. You're not so quick to judge. You're not sitting there thinking, well, they should have just done it this way. Because you know what it feels like to try your best and still fall short. Failure builds empathy. It makes you kinder. You recognize the hustle in other people. You feel their struggles in a real way because you've been there. And that connection, that human-to-human understanding, that's something only failure can teach you. Success is great, but failure is what makes you real. It's kinda wild how failing can make you both tougher and softer at the same time, right? You become stronger in your ability to handle adversity, but you also become gentler with others who are on their own journey, figuring things out. So yeah, it's not fun to fail. Nobody's out here wishing for setbacks. But when they happen, and they will happen, know that you're not just taking a loss. You're building resilience that'll carry you through life. You're growing empathy that'll help you lead, connect, and lift others up. Failure's not just about what you learn for yourself. It's also about how it shapes the way you show up for the people around you. Alright, so let's get into this. Failure is a badge of courage. And yeah, I know, it might not feel like that when you're in it. When you've just failed at something, you're not sitting there thinking, wow, look at me being so brave. You're probably thinking, ugh, this is embarrassing. I just want to crawl under a blanket and disappear. But here's the truth that most people don't realize. It takes real courage to fail. Because failing means you actually tried. You put yourself out there. You took a risk. You stepped out of your comfort zone and said, all right, let's go for it, even though you knew there was a chance it might not work out. And you know what? Most people don't even get to that point. They're so scared of failing that they never even try. They stay safe. They stay small. So the fact that you went for it, even if it didn't go how you wanted, that's bravery. That's you being bold enough to chase something, to bet on yourself. Wearing your failures like a badge of courage means owning them. Not hiding them, not being ashamed of them. You're saying, yeah, I tried, and it didn't work out, and I'm still standing. That's powerful, because courage isn't about being fearless. It's about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. I mean, think about the people you admire, the ones whose stories inspire you. Are they perfect? Did they succeed on their first try? Of course not. They've failed. Probably a lot more than you even know. But they don't hide those failures. They wear them like armor. Like, look at what I've been through. Look at how far I've come. Every scar, every rejection, every misstep, it's all part of their story. And it takes guts to own that. Failure is proof that you were in the arena. You weren't just sitting on the sidelines, watching other people live their lives. You were out there, giving it your all. And yeah, sometimes you'll fall. Sometimes you'll lose. But that courage to even show up, that's rare. That's what sets you apart. So instead of seeing failure as this shameful thing you have to hide away, flip the script. Wear it proudly. Because every failure is evidence that you're pushing yourself, you're growing, you're daring to dream big. And honestly, that's what courage looks like in real life. It's easy to play it safe. It's easy to never take a shot. But you tried. And that takes guts. So go ahead and pin that failure on your chest like a badge of honor. It means you're brave enough to keep showing up. So, at the end of the day, failure isn't the monster we've been taught to fear. It's not here to break us. It's here to build us. Every fall, every setback, every no you've ever heard. It's been shaping you, refining you, preparing you for what's next. Failure teaches you lessons that success just can't. It reveals who you are when the lights are off and no one's clapping. It forces you to grow roots before you grow wings. It redirects you when you're heading down a path that isn't truly meant for you. And yeah, it humbles you, but it also softens your heart. It makes you kinder, more human. But above all, failure is a sign of courage. It's a badge that says, I was brave enough to try. And isn't that what life's really about? Not playing it safe, but daring to step out, even when there's no guarantee. So the next time you stumble, remember, this isn't the end of your story. It's just a messy, beautiful chapter that's shaping you into the person you're meant to be. Wear your failures with pride. They're not signs of defeat. They're proof that you're in the game. You're learning, you're growing, and most importantly, you're still standing. And that's what makes you unstoppable.